Welcome to Live with the Bride. I'm Tori Perano, owner and creative director at Sarah Events.
I'm Sarah Schrieber, former weddings editor turned wedding consultant, and today we are talking about the idea of the timeless wedding and if that's even real, what happens when you don't like your wedding dress, and choosing food over all design.
And with us, we have Makenzie Rencher coming all the way from Greenville, South Carolina, and she is back in the hot seat. And her wedding from 3 years ago, we're going to dive deep into all the details and how things have changed.
All right, Makenzie, you got married in 2022.
Yes.
So it's been a few years.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd love to know, like, how are you feeling post-wedding? Like, what have you learned in the years, since? Like, take us back. Would you do anything differently?
Well, whenever I was planning, I had in mind that I wanted in like 10 years to say that I was happy with my decisions. So I kind of tried to stay away from trends.
Yeah, fair.
Whenever I was making decisions, I really leaned on Tori a lot, and that because I was like, this is my first time planning a wedding. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so I wanted her to pull a lot of our personality into it. And of course we played on trends, but I feel like more than trends, you play on personality, and so, or just like different quirky things about yourself. So like, for example, which we'll probably get into, but I am like obsessed with desserts, and so we just did so many desserts, and I don't know if we're gonna talk about that, but so little things like that, like staying away from trends, but trying to incorporate instead things that I just love that I know won't change, because I mean, I'm gonna love desserts in 10 years, but yeah, I think just post wedding, which you saying 2022, I literally feel like I've lived so many lives between now and then. So it might be like, oh, you got married 3 years ago, like you just got married. I don't feel that way. I feel like I've been married for decades in the best way.
Yeah.
But I just had like kids, so it made time go by. But
Yeah, definitely. I know that you planned a wedding on a pretty tight timeline, right? Like you guys worked together on like a pretty short kind of a whirlwind. Like, how did that feel? Like, was it scary to plan something really quickly? Was it like, nope, I actually have to like just make all of these decisions immediately? Like, was it good for you? I feel like couples right now are planning on a shorter timeline than like, it's not like a year, 18 months anymore. So like, how was that for you?
yeah, I think we planned ours in like 8 months, right? Yeah, 8 months. And I don't think I understood how tight of a timeline that was, because
fair.
you hear that and you're like, 8 months to plan an event, like 100%, like so easy. Then when we started getting into meetings, I was like, oh no, this is a tight timeline, and vendors get booked and whatever. And so I didn't mind it, because I do feel like I do better with having to make decisions. If you give me 6 months to make a decision, I'm going to change my mind 70 times.
Yeah.
But once you commit, you have to commit. And so I feel like I would recommend 8 months. One of my friends is getting married in a little while, and we're deciding like the timeline to everything. And I was like, honestly, 8 months, I know it sounds tight, but I personally liked it because I couldn't change my mind a million times. So yeah, I don't know if I would recommend any shorter than that though.
Yeah.
Like when people that do it in like 6 months, I'm like, I know that wedding planner's fighting for their life. Yeah. So
like maybe probably.
Yeah.
But I think like the idea of like making a decision and then committing to that decision, I feel like so many brides struggle with that, like the changing of the mind 40 million times.
Right.
Like, no, I like this, and then I see something else, and then I saw this on TikTok, and then I saw this there. Like I think like having that shorter window or not, it's like the takeaway is like you just kind of have to decide and move on, right? Like decision fatigue is so real, so like just make the choice and proceed. Like, do you feel like you just kind of did that, and that kept you sane?
For sure. And then also like talking with friends and people that had got married before me and having conversations with them, it's totally normal to see a dress that you love on Pinterest and be like, is that my dress? Like, should I have gotten that? And it's like, girl, there ain't time for that. Your wedding's in 2 months. That's never gonna happen. And also know that that's totally normal if you're a bride listening to this and you have had that thought before. It's not that you chose the wrong dress. It's that if you keep looking on Pinterest and finding different things and whatever, you're gonna find things that you're gonna wonder like, wait, are those the plates that I should have gotten? Is this the vibe that I wanted to go for? And it's like, just be confident in your decision and know that ultimately like your wedding really is about like the covenant that you're making with the person that you love. And I mean, the details do matter. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But also, it is good to just be confident in the decision you made and just commit to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, especially with the wedding dress, especially with like all of the fashion choices that these brides have to make now too. It's like, it's kind of normal, right? Like, you like more than one shirt. You like more than one pair. You have like a whole closet of clothes. Like, I think that's such a good point. Like, it makes sense that you would be drawn to like different styles, different designers. Like, just own it and kind of just move on from there. Looking back, do you feel like you would do anything differently? 3 years of perspective. Do you feel like you change anything from like, okay, like maybe not the fashion perspective, but a design choice, a guest list choice, a stress choice, anything.
Yeah, I think that I would have done a little bit less black.
Okay.
But back then, like, I was just so, even down to my decisions that I made in my house, interior design decisions, I just had a lot of black. Like, I was very like black, white, neutral. That was just my vibe. And I'm thankful now that we threw some green in there. But even that, I was like, that's kind of bold. But I think Tori talked me into that. I'm thankful that she did. But I'd probably do a little bit less black and more like color. But other than that, not really. Like, I know it's only been 3 years, but I'm like, I feel happy with the decisions I made for the most part.
Yeah.
I would say it was pretty timeless. Honestly, when it came down to like ceremony, for example, it's one of those things that just grow over time. Like, it was got that classic look. Like, it wasn't like something that like, oh man, why did you do something so crazy? And all of a sudden it's like, you looking back like, what is that?
Yeah.
Like,
well, timeless is actually like a very hot topic word in the wedding industry, don't you think?
Absolutely.
I feel like the idea of like a timeless wedding, you'll have lots of people be like, there's no such thing, right? And like, I like potentially maybe agree with that. Like, everything's anchored in something, right?
Yeah,
like
totally.
fashion and like, I'm actually so fine looking back on my wedding and being like, okay, cool. If they thought that was in the 2020s, like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, so then it was, because like actually it was, and I still stand by all of my decisions, right? Like, I don't know. How do you feel about that as a designer? Like, when you are creating things, and I feel like timeless is a word that comes up for a lot of brides. They want to love it. But what does that mean to you?
I think that in that moment, the brides have to know that when they choose that decision, they are who they are in that moment. So like, to her point, she loved having the color black and white. That's not who she is now, because we always grow as an individual. But when you're making that decision, you have to be ready to say, I'm going to own it the rest of my life. These are going to be my photos. This is going to be my event. And that's it. That's who I was, though, at that time of marriage. Like, just like how her and Darian were different people at that time. Now they are a full family. They have 2 kids, maybe more in the future. Who knows? But it's like, they didn't have kids at that wedding. Like, so much. It's like, it's the joy of the growth. Honestly, I'm going to use Darian's terms. It's joy of the journey, right?
Amen.
Like, and I think that everyone's definition of timeless is unique to them. So timeless to you is one thing, timeless to me, timeless to Makenzie is one thing. It's just owning it, though, and not letting social media or society be like, honey, why did you do that? Well, because that's who I was.
Right.
It's just who I was. I loved it. And that's okay.
I think that's so true. And I haven't actually heard people talk about it that way. Like, timeless is just like, it's totally subjective. Like, it's totally about who you are and nothing about how other people or what social media or what like anybody else is telling you that it is.
Yeah.
Okay, period. I agree. Okay, a little birdie told me that Club Rencher was like a very defining part. I want to tell me about like, what about your wedding was fun? Like, what are the parts that you remember that like really brought the joy? And like, looking back, it's 3 years. Like, what flashes to your mind constantly?
I mean, the first thing I think about is Club Rencher.
Okay.
You have to.
Tell us.
Yeah, our vision for that was, well, really, it's so funny because speaking to being different people, we're definitely different people now, but we spent a lot of time in Miami prior to getting married because my now husband was training for the NFL in Miami. So Miami life is like obviously very club vibes, and not that we were in the club every night by any means, but we spent some time in the clubs. And you couldn't catch me in a club now. I actually was just talking to friends about this weekend, how we took a trip to Vegas, and I was like, y'all, if we took a trip to Vegas now, how different would it look now? We were not doing anything crazy by any means. It would just look very different.
Yeah, sure.
But anyway, we definitely wanted to bring the club atmosphere I mean, without the bottle girls, of course, to our wedding. I just wanted a lot of like places for people to lounge. That was my number one thing. I wanted lounge furniture. I wanted furniture that lit up. I wanted not people to not be standing in line at the bars. So I think we did how many bars?
4.
We had 4 bars because
we had some outside and inside in case people want to go outside
Yes.
and hang out, and then also inside.
Because something that I notice a lot about weddings, which again, there's nothing wrong with this, it's just kind of your budget and what your vision is you're standing in line for drinks. Like, I mean, there's always a line. And I just did not want to have that. I wanted people to get their drinks and be on the dance floor, not like spending time at the bar and then I'm like, where are all my friends? So I wanted to have multiple bars. I wanted like a dark atmosphere. I don't know. I just wanted it to feel very like party.
Yeah.
And so we turned this like barn basically into
an inside ballroom into a club. It also had 2 levels. So, like in clubs in Miami, there's like a VIP level. And there was no VIP like level here. Anybody could go
Everyone
up
was
there.
VIP.
Yeah. Everyone's VIP.
Right.
But it was nice because like some of the older folks got to go up there and like look over and like see everything else happening.
Yeah.
I mean, the DJ was also on the second level going down to like the guests on the first. No, it was a vibe. And if you know her fiance, well, husband now, but time fiance, he's so big and entertaining. If there's one thing that Darian cares about, it's the music. Put him on the mic, music, and entertaining. Like, did he care about the other things? Yes. But he is just like gong-ho into making sure the entertainment's on point, the music's on point. Because I'll tell you, if there's anything off point with that music, he would have went and took over.
Oh, 100%.
Like, that's just who
he was texting the DJ because the DJ was a friend from Clemson.
Yes, yeah.
And he was texting him like next.
Yeah.
Or texting him a song request.
This is huge for me. I actually don't understand how DJs or bands can be bad at their jobs because like their proof is right in front of them.
Oh, yeah.
Right, but like I don't understand that. Like how can you not just course correct in real time? You're like, okay, this is not working.
Yeah,
like
it's not the
because the
vibe.
dance floor is dead. In fact, like it's not even like if there's nobody on it, or you can tell when people aren't vibing.
Or if people are like, if you catch a vibe, don't start playing random music afterwards.
Yes,
right.
Don't pop up Taylor Swift.
Keep
Swift,
going.
we love you, but
After everyone's just was dancing and like, I think that's the difference between like a DJ and a MC. MC are so big on vibes, whereas a DJ is just like, here's a playlist, which I'm not. That I think you're a great DJ if you can discern what's the dance floor
There's
is.
different levels for like certain DJs are amazing and like certain
for sure.
like,
and I've
really
also
what it
seen
is.
where people make exact playlists for DJs and they do their own thing. I'm like, girl, what is going on? And they have to go up to them and be like, can you just play my playlist? Because these are all on my like do not playlist. But yeah, I think another thing with Clip Rencher is if people were gonna sit down, because inevitably people are gonna want to chill, and some people the dance floor is not their thing. I still wanted it to be a vibe. Like I still wanted it to be, you couldn't help but be a part of the atmosphere. And so that's definitely one thing that I think about our wedding was how fun the after party was, and just looking around and seeing everyone have fun. And at one point I went to the second floor and just watched everybody dance and like saw the faces that brought us to where we were, and it was fun. If you were there, you remember it. For sure.
Period.
For sure. Yeah. Like beyond fun, like are there any other like emotional touch points of the wedding that like you like kind of fall back on as memories that you're like, wait, no, I'm so glad we did this. Like this was so meaningful. I feel like we talk a lot about like intentionality in weddings and like how that translates. Or are there any like emotional moments that stand out to you
For
that you
sure.
think back on?
Yeah, multiple. I would say the first one that comes to mind is our first look. I know this is people have different opinions, and I think whatever opinion you have is the right one because it's you and your husband and whatever. I think for us it was big that we got to be a part of our cocktail hour because our cocktail hour was sick. And I was like, I'm not missing that food. Our food was so good, and I just wanted to be able to look at the faces of the people there. And a lot of we didn't have a destination wedding by any means, but it was 5 hours from where we lived. And so people traveled, and I wanted to actually be able to look at them and thank them for being there and have time to soak it in and have as much time to do that. So in order to do that, we had to do a first look, which I'm so glad that we did because it was still such a moment when I walked down the aisle, and it was still he was still bawling his eyes out. Like Darian cried all day on our wedding day. Like he just could not stop crying. He was so emotional. And when he saw me, he was crying for our first look. And so I would say him turning around to see me, because I was just standing there, and he was the one turning around. When he turned around and saw me, I would say that's like a moment that I really remember. And then I remember when I was about to walk down the aisle, Darian's groomsmen were praying over him, and just that moment of just watching him and like just the friends that he has had over the years intentionally like praying over him before he walked down the aisle was a beautiful thing that I remember. Darian crying all day was a beautiful thing that I remember. Y'all, we
love a groom who cries.
Oh, I mean, he was like,
he was an emotional king. Yeah.
Oh, he definitely is, and I love that about him. Our wedding was another level. Like, he was just so like, I prayed for these days, and just the fact that we're here, and just a lot goes into that day. And just, of course, you have times where you're like, am I on the right path? Is this gonna work out? And just, I think that day for him, I mean, and me too, obviously, but for him, he just felt like this is like what I always wanted, and now it's here.
Yeah.
And it was really emotional for him. And then last one, I'm literally just saying everything about our wedding at this point, but the last one, I would say my dad passed away in 2017. And so obviously your dad is usually a big part of your wedding day, but I think now that's kind of changing, because I mean, just things happen, and sometimes dads just like aren't around or passed away or whatever it may be. But for us, that meant like our moms were like a really big part of, which he has an amazing dad. But just, I feel like the groom's dad doesn't play a big part of the day. They're just kind of like there and say a speech or like pray or something. But anyway, our moms did these beautiful speeches and just spoke to like how much whenever we were growing up that they prayed for us and like who we were going to marry, and just watching that all come together, and just their speeches are so emotional. And that was beautiful too. And I feel like there was not a dry eye in sight after those speeches.
Those speeches were insane.
I do feel like moms kind of don't have the moment that dad does, and I feel like that's so nice. Like, I have seen actually like that change a little bit. Like, I just saw a wedding where like a mom, the bride brought her mom and her sisters out onto the dance floor to have like a cute little sister and mom dance.
No, I'll cry.
No, it was like actually really, really sweet. And I don't remember the song that it was to. I think it was like upbeat and happy, but it was like, we used to like blast this in the car, like in car rides, and I danced with my dad, but like I needed to do this with my mom, and I think it's such a good idea. Like, whether you have like whether dad's around or not, like it's a nice thing to do for your mom. It's like a big day for your mom too.
For sure,
you
for
know?
sure.
Yeah, mother of the bride, like she deserves her.
Give them their moment.
She deserves a moment. For sure. You know.
Agreed.
When you were planning, did you have like a top 3 priority list? Were there things going in that you were like, okay, I care about all this, but here are my top 3?
Definitely food. I needed to have good food.
Okay.
That was probably number one. I just had been to too many weddings, no tea, no shade, where you are like eating and you're like, this is awful.
Like, we're going
food.
to Taco Bell after.
Like, where's McDonald's?
Oh, you so know
Where's
when you're
McDonald's?
going to Taco Bell. You know when you're going.
Yeah.
You know when you're
And I didn't want to have that being the whispers around our wedding. So I was like, number 1 is food. Number 2, and not that I don't care about this, but it was just on the top 3 because it mattered so much to my husband, was the music, the energy. And then 3, I'd say, would be for our venue. I wanted to have all separate areas for the venue, the ceremony, and the reception.
Okay. Yeah.
So I wanted it to just feel like 3 completely different events. So that was a big thing too. I needed to find a venue that like had multiple spaces.
No flipping.
Yes, and no flipping, which is fine if you need to do that because it's your venue, it's your day. But for me, that was high up on the priority list, is I wanted to have 3 completely different places, and I wanted to feel like different moments through each thing that we did. Oh, and cocktail hour. We had a different place for cocktail hour too. But
yeah, Tori, talk us through like the design of each of those moments and like how you made each its own, but also kind of like, you know, weddings should feel connected too. So like how I feel like that's a big one for brides.
Yeah, so it was all within walking distance, so you didn't require transportation.
Love.
But like the ceremony was like a chapel feel, but it wasn't a chapel, but it kind of gave that feels indoors. And then cocktail hour was outside of that little small chapel building.
Okay.
Then you went from that little cocktail hour to the tent. The tent was the reception dinner, so to speak. And then some speeches and whatnot. And then they transitioned back into another indoor spot, which was Club Rencher. And that was like the night of how it unfolded. So, and one thing too is that you definitely cared about like the flowers and and making sure like, you know, how was that going to flow to one thing to the next? How was the design going to flow? And pretty much everything stayed consistent in terms of the all white flower look, making sure that you didn't have like any kind of crazy greenery. You really didn't want a lot of filler. You wanted like
straight flowers.
Straight flowers.
Love that.
That was definitely a request. But yeah, no, it all flowed so simple and seamlessly for the guests because they were just walking from different spaces to different spaces.
Yeah.
And in between too, like there was like little carts, like a bar cart. She's so big on desserts. If you know Makenzie, you know that she loves the desserts. And like we even had desserts at another area before we got to Club Rencher. But there was like bar carts, flower carts. There was like all sorts of little things along the way. And then, so it's kind of like walking them down a path of like who
like
she
little
is.
delights.
Yeah.
And like personal delights.
Yeah. And then they walked into Club Rencher. There's a whole nother dessert wall, like of all her favorite desserts.
That was another thing. I wanted people to have something to drink while we were getting married. Because I feel like sometimes you're just like sitting there. I'm like, how cute would it be if we had champagne? So when people walked in, like the first thing I got was champagne during the ceremony.
Yep.
Because I wanted people to either have something to drink or eat or whatever, and eating didn't really make sense. So I was like, the first thing people got was a little glass of champagne before they walked in. I wanted everything to feel all along the way. You got like little bite. No one's like waiting to eat, waiting to drink, waiting.
She wanted
People are
everyone to
taken
feel
care of.
like she is the ultimate host. And if you know her now and you've been following her since even before wedding, after wedding, she is the ultimate host. She has multiple events a year. She does it for her friends. She's now doing them for like the public. And this is still her goal of like food, drinks. Even now, I think it's more important than what design is because it's just who you are. It's like, no, you need to have a drink. You need to make sure you're eating good. Because at the end of the day, design can only go so far. But if your food and your drinks are like messed up, it's like, well, dang, pretty flowers, but
pretty flowers, but like,
I'm hungry.
What are the things that people remember? Like, I think music and food, honestly. Like, did they feel good? Were they having a good time? And like, did they leave fed?
Yeah.
If you have to cut on flowers to get good food, cut on flowers. If I asked any of my friends to tell me what my flowers looked like, couldn't tell you. If I asked them what they ate, they'll tell you everything that was on the entree list.
Yeah. Like, again, like that's just like what you are going to remember. Okay, you love to host. You're hosting now. You guys have worked on a few events together, right? In the aftermath of the wedding. So like, that's really fun to have a partnership for a wedding and then to have that evolve.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, you know, planners and clients like can become friends. And I think that's really important too. So like, what kind of drew you two to each other? And how did you, like, when you were hiring Tori, like, what were you like, yes? Because I think brides want to know, you know, like, why do you choose people? You know, how do you know that you're choosing the right person? Because it can be so stressful. You're spending money. You know, how do you know you've chosen right?
Ugh, I love this question. Because I interviewed multiple people to do my wedding prior, and I think I just threw like a box up on my Instagram, like, what are some wedding planners you suggest, whatever. And I talked to multiple people. When I talked to Tori, I said, that's my planner. It didn't take more than 5 minutes because she was confident. She knew what she was talking about. She was driven. She was quick to respond. She was helpful. Like, I didn't feel like I was in the dark in anything. Like, she was very like, these are our next steps. This is what's going to happen. We're going to make this come to life for you. Like, she sold me, girl. She sold me. And if wedding planning doesn't work out, which clearly it will for the rest of your life, you need to go and like sell houses or something because you can sell people. But
I could see you selling houses.
100%.
Okay, Slay.
No, you need to get into sales.
You're in weddings forever, but like I could see it.
Yes, but more than anything, I was like, wait, I want to like talk to Tori because she feels like a friend, which obviously she has become. We've been friends ever since we met. And yeah, I just think number one would be reliability. I never felt like Tori wasn't going to get something done. I was like, behind the scenes, I knew, which I don't even think I fully knew the extent of it until my wedding day.
That's like probably the point.
Yeah, which I don't think which obviously that's why I haven't left her side afterwards, because I'm like, you're like the most reliable friend and loyal and whatever. But I think on my wedding days when it finally clicked to me, I'm like, oh, this is so much work. I forgot about this. I forgot about the napkins. I forgot about these custom cups. I forgot about this. I forgot about this. But she just made it all happen. And at no point during the process was I like, is this going to get done? I was just like, Tori's got it. Mm-hmm. She is such a good communicator. She would send me emails literally every day. And I'm like, dang, I didn't know how much went into this, but it's good to know. And I didn't even think about our plates. And she was just very hands-on and quick to respond. And yeah, I would just say like reliability. And if you're waiting on 6 days on an answer for something, it's like, I don't even care anymore. Just do whatever. You're taking so long. But I think the person that you choose to do your wedding has to be on top of things.
Yeah.
Like for real.
Okay, so like flip side of that, like when you were interviewing people, like what made you feel like, you know, like, or I'm on the fence, or like I gotta keep talking to more people? Like what was it? You know, what were like maybe not red flags, but like definitely not green flags?
I would just say we didn't click personality wise, which, you know, some people just can't help. So like it's fine, because, you know, someone that I don't click with, the next bride, they're best friends, right? And that's great, right? And there's someone for everyone. But I would say that I really wanted the person that was gonna be working so closely with on the biggest day of my life to be somebody that I was like, I just like you too. So I would say that. Taking too long to respond. Like if I email you and it's been 3 days, someone else has responded and I already booked them. Right. I would say those are like the top ones. Yeah,
I agree. Okay, you're a big entertainer. What about your wedding, or has your wedding, I guess I should say, influenced how you look at entertaining and hosting today?
I would say I took like feedback from my wedding. I don't know if feedback is the word, because it was good feedback.
Yeah.
But like I said, with like the food and the drinks and the whatever, what people said to me after my wedding, I kind of took and was like, I want people to feel that way about, I mean, when they come over for dinner or whatever. And I think I like also, which I don't know if this is really answering your question, but I kind of just take what I would want to feel.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say expectations, because that seems harsh, and I'm not like, every time I go to a wedding I don't want people to feel like I'm sitting and judging everything.
You're like, okay, and notes.
Yeah, right. I'm not noting. I'm not like rating your wedding or anything.
I'm not saying that I don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, but it is an experience, you know, and you want to give people an experience if you can. And so I would just say I kind of just took feedback from my wedding and was like, this is the experience that I want people to feel like. And I don't know. Some things that I do are like a bit dramatic. Like I'm hosting a fall brunch and I'm having a coffee cart for like me and 5 of my friends. Is that necessary?
Maybe.
No. I mean, yes, honestly it is.
But if you know her and coffee, yes. That's
yes.
the point.
Like I want people to not have to worry about anything when they come to my house, which like sometimes that means you get a coffee cart because you don't want people to worry about like sitting and making a coffee and getting the syrups right and like whatever. And if you can, it's nice to have, but I would probably just say I don't want anyone to worry about anything, and once it's time for me to host, you know you're going to be taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fair. Okay, you are in the content creator world, you're an influencer. There are lots of brides right now. I feel like every influencer under the sun is actually engaged right now.
I feel that way.
Like every single one. In fact, I don't think there's a single one left.
No, I don't think so.
All just got
so like, what's your advice for, you know, brides, for influencer brides who might be going through this? Like, you know, I think there's a certain level of like what you share and what you don't. And I think like this applies to like non-influencer brides too. Like, how did you feel about sharing when you were going through this process? And like, what would you say to these brides that are, you know, engaged now?
Yeah, I would say you can always share more, but you can never share less. Like once it's out there, and people feel entitled to know the things that like once you start sharing, people are naturally, it's just human nature, feel entitled to know like more and more. I think with weddings, I just think decide maybe prior what you want to keep private and what you want to share. For me, I was like, I'm sharing everything. I don't really care. And I liked taking people in on the process, and my content then was so different. But I feel like advice-wise, I would just say undershare. You can always share more later if you want. And also hire a day of content person so that you can't. I'm a big proponent of like your wedding needs to be you living in the moment. but that doesn't mean your content has to sacrifice, because I think you're going to want to look at that one day too.
Yeah.
And I like to view it as like, I'm not doing this for other people. I'm doing this for like future me.
Yeah.
And yes, it is my job, but like I don't want to be working on my wedding day. And so just do everything prior. And also I was thinking about a content creator, her name's Jasmine. Just killed the day of wedding content.
I honestly think she changed the landscape
100%.
wedding day content creation.
Yes.
She started something
Yes.
on that day.
And it's crazy you brought that up, because content creators were not a thing back when you got married.
I was just going to ask, like, was this something you thought about?
No, but she has been using them on like recent events. And I think it is insane to see like how we didn't have that out in the wedding, but now we've seen it like at your recent like Girls Night Out event, and like how it absolutely helps you in so many different aspects, because like part of her job is to show up online.
Yeah.
But she had to go around on the wedding day. You were doing so much content yourself that we were like working it into timeline. But if we would have, that would have been a thing back then.
No one was doing that.
No one was doing that.
It's so different now.
Or it was very, it was the dawn of it.
It was
people weren't like hiring out.
Yeah. But now she has the benefit of using it.
Yeah, no, 100%. Tori, I feel like you said that Makenzie's wedding was like a turning point in your career.
Yeah.
What was it like, like what about that felt like a turning point? And like what does it mean to you now? Like how did it kind of launch your business in this direction?
Yeah, so I've told this to Makenzie so many times, because I'm like, baby girl, you're going to get all the credit. And I'm not shying away from it. So she was my first influencer couple.
Yeah.
And you never know when you take the risk with influencers, and how's it going to be? Is it going to pay off? Is it not going to pay off? Well, you don't know.
Yeah.
But I knew that me and Makenzie had a strong relationship. And her following and Darian's following, it's not just about social media following though. Their people in their corner is everything. Everything. They have reached far beyond social media, and because of that reach, it kind of catapulted into some next clientele that then catapulted down the road and down the road, down the road. But I think just our foundation, our relationship, and then it stretched into her network and his network. It wasn't just one, it was Darian too. And you just don't know who people know. That's why I think you should always treat people like kind and show up your best self no matter who it is.
And I mean, I also think like it's like the flip side too, like brides that are going to weddings, future brides that are going to weddings, like you kind of get to like watch how vendors work in real time. Because like for you, it's like, all right, my next client could be at my next wedding, but like
always say that.
For couples, it's like word of mouth. Like you go to a wedding, you're like, you love it, like that's somebody that you might eventually want to work with too. So it's all like, we go to our weddings and we like maybe judge them a little bit, but we learn from them too. And like we see what we like, and like great place to find your vendor team.
No, seriously. And I that wedding showed me just how much the power of the word is. Because it's not even about like the influencer aspect or athlete aspect.
Sure.
It was just the simple fact that every client after that I approached so much differently. Like they could just be regular corporate life, girly, whatever the case may be. But it's like treat everyone the exact same. No one gets special treatment, because you don't know what their word's going to do to like that next guest. And then I started to like dress a certain way, show up a certain way to the wedding. So I'm like, oh wait, now my next client could be at the weddings. So everything kind of shifted mindset after their wedding.
Yeah, fair. Okay, going back to you, Makenzie. Is there any drama from your wedding planning experience or like wedding day that, or like anything that you want to share or talk about?
Sure, why not? I would say, let me choose my words carefully, because I do always want to be careful about not talking badly about people, just because I think I just try to keep the peace with everybody, regardless if people want to keep the peace.
Right.
I would say there definitely were some vendors that I think maybe took advantage of the fact that we do content a little bit, and maybe offered their services and then kind of made it seem like, not that they were doing us a favor, but it's like whenever you agree to do things in the content world, it's like I'm benefiting you, you're benefiting me. It's a partnership. It's not just a one-way thing. And it kind of started that way. And then at the end, it was kind of like, I'm doing this for you as a favor. And I'm like, well, let's remember that we're really doing this for each other. It's a partnership. So I'd say like there definitely were a little bit of sassy remarks made that I kind of just had to be like, you know what, it's my wedding day I'm not going to deal with drama on my wedding day. And I just kind of let it roll off my back and was like, am I stressed a little bit? Yes. But Tori's going to make sure everything works out. And so will God.
Yeah.
So And so I think, of course, there's like always going to be a little sassiness. There's always going to be some kind of family drama, like someone that didn't get invited that felt entitled to get invited. And it's like at the end of the day, you might be my cousin, but I haven't talked to you since I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
And so like there of course were people that were like, why didn't we get invited? And I'm like, well, if we haven't spoken in approximately 10 years, it's expensive to throw a wedding. And when I think about, okay, per plate, it's $250 or whatever it was. I actually don't really know what the real number was. I can't do that for a stranger. Like, I really don't know you. And if it's between you and one of my close friends that I keep in contact with regularly, then I do have to choose them regardless. And Derry and I are just big on that. Like, we do love our family, of course, but we're definitely not one of those people that are just like family over everything, no matter what. Like, I think it's just the way I grew up. Like, my friends are my family.
Yeah.
And so they're treated that way. And just like the people that we love and are close with are our family. And so we're not going to just, be like family over friends just because it's blood. Because it's just, sometimes you're just closer to friends or whatever.
Your friends are chosen family too.
Yeah. And so I think we definitely had to have some hard conversations of like, just because you're this or that doesn't mean that you're entitled to anything.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's something that so many brides struggle with is like, okay, all right, now I understand that this is what it costs. Cool. I need to reduce this guest list. Like, please, like, say somebody. Like, somebody say no, RSVP no. And I feel like that's a big one. Like, how do you decide who to cut? And, like, I think, like, it is about, like, sticking to a system. You're like, if I don't speak to you, like, I'm not a good judge. I had 35 people at my wedding. I cut everybody.
You're like, actually, no one's coming.
I cut them all, actually, in fact.
Actually, just
I don't feel bad about that. But maybe it is just that, right? Like, you got to, like, hold to a system, stick to your guns, and, like, it just is what it is.
Yeah.
Because you have to stay within that number. You have to stay within that budget. Let that budget be the guide. And also, like, you don't want to see a sea of strangers, on the wedding day.
I do want to go back to one point that she kind of made and talked about was some spiciness when it comes down to vendors. Keep your client in the loop. Like, I feel like sometimes when problems arise and from planners to brides, they want to hide so much if another vendor's causing a problem. One thing I did with Makenzie was tell her in advance, if it's necessary and she needs to know, because you don't want your client finding out about a crazy scenario and challenge that we're going through if it's going to ultimately affect her. And so when we did have a few little challenges, she knew every single one. We got on a phone call, we talked about it, she knew what was going to happen. So, like, for example, when something spicy, a little comment was said on wedding day, she wasn't so blindsided. She kind of was expecting something could have been said. Was it unfortunate? Of course, no one should ever act like that. But if I would have never kept her in the loop on certain things that were happening, she would have been like, wait, what? Why
are they acting that way?
Why is the energy this way?
And then, like, all of a sudden, right, you're like, okay, ton of bricks.
And then all of a sudden,
now my vibe's in the toilet.
Yeah, and now I got to pull her and I got to talk to her. So I'm glad she said that, because this easily can come up in weddings nowadays. Something may happen with a vendor, but wedding planners are so used to, like, well, can't tell the bride, can't stress that, to a point. At what point do you need to get your clients involved? And to that point, we had to get her involved. So that way, she was totally fine on wedding day. Okay, fine. That little thing happened. No worries. We'll be fine. And then we rehashed after the wedding. We were just going to regroup and like, oh, yeah, okay, well, life was great. Move on. But it's just like, planners, if you're watching this, something happens with a vendor, chat about it to your client. Don't hide it.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think that's a good lesson. Makenzie, are there any lessons that you learned when planning your wedding, like, about, like, your relationship with each other's families? Like, I think, planning a wedding is, like, the first it's like a big group project, right? Like, when you really kind of think about it and you're like, okay, wait, who's the leader in this? Like, you kind of all are. But, like, what did it teach you about, like, family and your relationship, and, like, what did you take from that moving forward now that you have, like, a family of your own?
Yeah, I would say Derry and I became such a team when we were making those decisions, especially about, like, who was going to be in it, and, like, just having hard conversations about who should come, who should not come, or whatever, and even just down to, like, the flowers or whatever. How many times can I say whatever? Hello, am I okay? You guys get the point. But just any decisions that we made them as a team, which I thought Darian wouldn't care, and he has opinions and he does care. Some of your groom are not gonna care, and that's great too. And they can give you full reins. But for Darian and I felt like it just solidified how much of a team we are, because it's just a very unique thing. You don't plan a lot of things together like that with the person you're gonna marry. This is kind of like, it's unique to plan a wedding together. So seeing that, I kind of was just like, we're a good team. And even if we disagree on XYZ, we can always come to a resolution. And ultimately, if you have the mindset that you're a team, it's going to be fine. And you can figure out the details. But that was probably my biggest lesson and also not all hills are worth dying on. There are some things that I was like, I'm not willing to budge on, whether it's budget or whatever it is. And then there are things that he felt that way about. And, sometimes I'm like, I don't feel as strongly as he does about this DJ situation or these flowers or whatever. Like, you can have it. It's not worth a fight or whatever.
Yeah. I think that brings me to my next question. Are there things you would have cared less about or cared more about? I think you kind of get bogged down in the details. Like you said, you got to choose which hills to die on. So are there things that you kind of would have cared less about, or you wouldn't change a thing?
I would have cared less about, probably, I think I just would have stressed less, knowing that it was going to turn out how it needed to. Because why was I up late at night stressing over what? And it also doesn't help anything. It didn't make my wedding day any better. If anything, it just caused stress leading up to it, which what's the point of that? Because it's supposed to be this beautiful day that you look forward to, which I did. Don't get me wrong. But there were times where I was a little stressed. I would care less about probably flowers. When I think about how much time, energy, money went into flowers, and I just don't think people cared, which maybe in the moment they did. But when you think about your wedding and where you want your budget to go towards, you want it to be memorable. Not just something that looks great in the moment, which of course I think kind of coincide most of the time, but maybe flowers. Yep. Let me tell you what I would have cared more about. Getting a checklist of things I wanted pictures of, because my photographer, no notes, she was amazing. She actually just recently retired from photography, but she was amazing, and I had no doubt of her abilities, and so I just didn't make any list, which this is not on her at all, but there were things throughout the night that she had no idea were happening. Right. Which, why would you? She didn't know. We had an ice cream cart, this is just an example, an ice cream cart out back during the reception, and she didn't even know it existed, so we got no pictures of it, because why would she? I didn't make a checklist. So if I could go back, I'd be like, we have hamburgers and pizzas coming out at 11 o'clock for a late night snack. She didn't get any pictures of those because they just went fast. And she was, I think, taking pictures of Darian and I or something. And by the time she came back, they were gone. Right. So we got no pictures of that. And they were cute little boxes. And that was something that I really wanted to get a picture of and remember. That's what I would have cared more about. Make a checklist for your photographer if you want specific looks.
And I think there are certain moments that photographers just don't know you care about, and they're totally busy doing certain things, and when the detail maybe seems really granular, or a song, right? A song that you love, with your family, that comes on, and you're no, I want to know, I want that video in my face at that time, I want the camera in my face at that time. Photographers just kind of having the comms with them too, I think is really important beyond the actual things.
And I'll say, photo shot list is what they are called. Right, sure. But they have really come a long way. I know our wedding was not 10 years ago, and they were using photo shot list back then, but now photographers and videographers are way more involved in our process. From a planner designer side, they're getting on our meetings with prototypes, they're seeing design sketches, they're in the know, so they know everything, to Mackenzie's point. But it's just crazy how the time changes though, because back in the day it was just hey, here's a photo shot list, and hey, just that, hey, I'm just mom, dad, sister, siblings. Makenzie being a content creator, she needed every little single detail, which is just so different when you're not used to that in wedding photography world. And she said, you know, her photographer is with them taking photos. That's the couple. That's what she's there to do.
Right.
But it is crazy to see like that just transition in photography world even.
Yeah, and I feel like it's so funny, but I feel like most photographers would actually tell you now, like, I don't use them because they're so looped in.
Yes.
And they're like, no, okay, they'll have their own list, right? But I feel like it used to be like, print,
Yes.
here you go. Like,
This is all we're going to
list.
do from today to help. But
Yeah.
now, I don't know one photographer that uses a photography shot list.
No, neither do I. Yeah, like it's just completely, but the whole system has changed.
Everything's
So like
changed.
to include more of that, like those priorities so that the
Yes.
photos are, but I think like the point still stands, you know, like it's good to chat through things that are super critical.
Yes.
You know, to you and your family, your priorities, like with that photographer. So they're like, yeah, cool, noted. We will not be missing that.
Yes.
Yeah, like across the board. Yeah, I think that's really good advice.
Over communicate.
Over communicate always. I feel like that's like every single
That's what I
interview
keep
that
saying.
we keep coming back to. Like that is truly the takeaway for pretty much working with any vendor in any category. Like it is, weddings are master classes in over communication. Biggest, like full stop, honestly. And when you can do that effectively, like you are so much closer to like getting a full night's sleep every single night, you know, like sleeping through that night so you're not stressed out.
Yeah. Do you look back? Do you not like your wedding dress?
Not really.
Oh, period.
I mean, I like it. I was just young, I think. And not that I'm still young. It was 3 years ago, guys. But I just think I tried on the first dress I liked and I was like, sold. Also, I was doing a collaboration with the people that I chose my dress with. And so I was like, oh, these are my options. But I think back then I would have been like, if I need to like allot some of my budget to a wedding dress that I like am in love with, I will do.
Right,
what would you wear?
It's not that I would. Darian loved my dress.
Yeah, I'm shocked hearing you say that because I mean your body was tea
Thank you.
in that dress.
I would have probably done less lace. I don't know if I would have done long sleeve either.
Yeah,
But I liked the shape of it.
Yeah.
The shape was it. I think my reception outfit, I think, was more it represented me a bit more. And that was like a full custom dress from a designer in Atlanta, actually. And I found him and I was like, I just want something exactly like this.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll do it for you. And I was like, yay. And changing into that felt so me. And again, not that my wedding dress didn't. And I think Darian would actually feel really sad if I said that because he's like, no, I thought that Darian would love me in my wedding dress because it's me in my wedding dress. But he loved my wedding dress. Like he was like, I can't stop staring at the details, all the details, all the lace, all the whatever. So maybe it's not that I definitely wouldn't choose it again, but I could probably say that about everything, you know?
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
you did. I was with her at her dress appointment, and you tried on so many different types. Like you did try on non-lace. You
Yeah.
tried on a ball gown, and I mean, I loved you in that too. But like you did try on different things to the point of like working with a set company. But you did try on a lot. But it is crazy. It goes back to the very first point we started with about the black and the white.
Yeah.
You chose what you chose on who you were, Makenzie Rencher.
Yes.
I mean, Makenzie Wilburn
at the time.
that time. Oh my God, that's weird to say.
I know, I'm not that girl.
Yeah, that's crazy. You're not that girl, but that's okay. And I think so many brides, though, get hooked up in that wedding dress conversation of, am I going to like this in like 15 years?
It's the timeless
You
thing.
probably won't.
Right,
And I'm
you would
glad
choose
you just
something
said,
else.
I personally wouldn't. Darian loved you in it. That's great. But it's okay. The hot take is like, it is okay that you
That
just,
thing would not fit if I
you still
spent
have
a day on it.
You can
Of
still have it?
course.
Okay. I did.
I'm
You've
gonna get that
moved a
thing
few times.
framed.
Yeah, you've moved a few times. Okay. But you
Yeah,
have
I'll
it.
probably get my wedding dress framed at some point, but I'd definitely keep it for Beckham one day
I
to like cut off a piece and put it into her
Something.
dress or something. But yeah, I that is kind of goes back to what I say of the whole. If you look on Pinterest and see a dress you like that's normal because you can like you said, you could like 3 different kinds of shirts. It doesn't mean you don't like one less than the other. It's just you can see yourself in 3 different things. So yeah, I guess like try your best. If you want a timeless wedding, you can try your best, but realistically, don't put too much energy into that.
Because you were happy that day. You loved it that day.
Yeah.
You were confident in it that day. And like, that's kind of all that matters. It's like what photos are for.
Yeah.
You know, like you get to look back and be like, yeah, that was great. Yeah. Anything else that you think brides need to know?
I would just say be careful who you work with because they're going to be a big part of your final day, especially like vendors. Ask the right questions, and sometimes it's like not worth working with people, even if they're so good at their job. if they are not kind and their top priority is not like making sure you have a good day, there's always going to be somebody else that will work with you that like has that attitude and that you can mesh with. And I always choose character over talent. To me, at least, it's always worth it to choose character.
Thanks so much for tuning in to Live with the Bride. Follow us on Instagram, watch us on YouTube, and let us know what topics you want to hear more about. See you next time.